All right, hello. Today's video, we're going to go over how to do a modernized pre-trip. We're trucking. My name's Bob Dougherty. I'm a regional safety manager. Do our brake check by doing a safety start, putting our foot on the clutch, making sure the vehicle is in neutral, starting the truck up. We'll follow them by putting our seatbelt on, making sure that there's no strays, it's not ripped. Making sure that our seatbelt latches and that it unlatches so it works properly, which it does. Okay, when we turn our truck on, we want to make sure that our ABS light and our DEF lights cycle on and off, and they did. Well, so we know that they work. We're going to build the air pressure up in our primary and secondary air tanks, and our air governor should kick in between 120 and 140 psi. And when the governor kicks in, you want to let the instructor know at what range that the air governor kicked in at. So we're just right now waiting for it to build up. We're almost there. It's above 120 right now. Governor should be kicking in any second. Once again, governor should sneeze between 120 and 140 psi. There's the audible sneeze from the governor. It kicked in at 125 psi. At this point, we're going to put our clutch in, put the truck in the lowest gear possible, turn our vehicle off. We're going to turn our ignition back on so that our instrument panel works. Now we're going to push our buttons in, both brake buttons, our tractor and trailer brake button. We're going to let our air settle. Once our air settles, we're going to call where it settles out at, and that's about 105 psi. The first brake check we're going to do is our applied brake check. I'm going to put my foot on the brake. I'm going to hold it applied for a minute. I shouldn't lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute. You should bring your smartwatch or a stopwatch, something to time it. Don't count on the instructor to do it. So we're going to say that a minute has gone by. We haven't lost more than 4 psi in 1 minute. The next part of our brake check is we're going to fan down our brakes, and our primary and secondary light and our alarm should come on before 55 psi. Begin fanning down. Both our primary and secondary light came on, and a buzzer came on before 55 psi. It actually came on at 60 psi. We're going to continue fanning down, and our buttons should pop out when the primary and secondary gauges hit between 45 and 20 psi. Okay, our primary, secondary air gauges are at 30 psi, which is between the 45 and 20 psi. Both buttons popped out. Our emergency air system is working. We're going to now begin a safe start again, putting our foot on the clutch, truck in neutral, turn the truck on, and build our air pressure back up to 120, 140 psi. All right, so we're just building our air pressure back up after doing our brake check. We're going to check to make sure that our tractor and our trailer brakes hold, and then we're going to do our in-cab pre-trip. It's always important when you're calling these numbers out between 120 and 140 psi when our governor kicks in that you mention at what gauge, where the gauge is at when it does kick in. Same thing with where the buttons pop out at, where your lights and alarm comes on at. But we're building the air pressure back up. All right. So, all right, we're going to do this. Our governor just sneezed at 125 psi. We're going to do the second part of our in-cab here on our brake check. We're going to put our foot on the clutch, put the truck in lowest gear. We're going to push our yellow button in, which releases our trailer brakes. Tractor brakes, I'm sorry. Our yellow buttons are tractor brakes. And I'm going to pull slightly on the trailer brakes to make sure they hold. And that slight tug, it worked. I'm going to switch it, pulling out the tractor brakes, pushing in the trailer brakes. Now we're going to check to make sure that our tractor brakes are holding properly. Slight tug while in first gear. That worked properly. Now we're going to have both buttons pushed in. Lowest gear, we're going to drive 5 miles an hour, making sure that our speedometer works. We're going to roll, put our foot on the brake, making sure that the wheel doesn't shift in either direction. That would indicate that we have some type of bad brake wear. And we don't. Putting our truck back in neutral, releasing the foot brake, releasing the clutch. Brakes are on, we're going to cycle through. The first thing I want to make sure is that my defrost works. My defrost works. My floor heat works. Then we're going to check to make sure that our windshield wipers work with the washer fluid. They both work properly. Our air horn, our city horn, they work properly. Now we're going to check to make sure that we have our emergency equipment. You should have at least 6 spare fuses in the tractor. And it could also be a circuit breaker. This truck has circuit breakers. You also need to have your 3 red reflective triangles. We have 1, 2, 3 red reflective triangles in our box secured to the floor. And on the side of me here, on the driver's side on the floor, we have our 10 BC fire extinguisher, which is fully charged. It's properly mounted, secured with the pin in place. Now I'm going to go to my windshield, which is properly mounted, secured. It's not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. There's no illegal stickers on my windshield. My wiper blades have the proper tension to the windshield, and there's no broken or cracked rubber on the blades. Next, I'm going to go to my monitoring devices, which are my mirrors. Both door mirrors, or my West Coast mirrors, are properly mounted, secured. They're not cracked, and they are adjusted to my seated position. And then both spot mirrors on the hood are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, and both of them are also adjusted to my seated position. So that would conclude our brake check and the inside of our cab. I forgot, we have to do our indicator test. So that's just our right turn signal indicator, which is working properly. Our left turn indicator, which is working properly. Our high beam indicator, which is working properly. And our 4-way flasher indicators, which are both working properly. So once again, that completes the full brake check and the in-cab inspection. Now we're going to move to the outside. All right, so now that we finished the inside cab and our brake check, we're going to check the outside of our tractor, and that begins with the general condition. You want to make sure that the truck generally looks in good condition. You want to make sure that there's no leaks underneath, which would be antifreeze or oil, or that the truck doesn't have any kind of lean to it. After that, we're going to look at our clearance lights, our 5 clearance lights, which are properly mounted, secured. They are the proper color, amber. Come down to our windshield, once again on the outside, properly mounted, secured. There's no cracks, bends, or illegal stickers on our windshield. Then we're going to come down to our headlights right here. We have our headlights, which are properly mounted, secured, the proper color white. Our turn signal is the proper color amber. If you notice, I'm touching these parts. So once you get outside of the vehicle, any part that you're pointing to, if you can't touch it, point to it so that the instructor knows what you're talking about. I'm going to come to the right side of my vehicle. This headlight is properly mounted, secured, is working properly, and my turn signal is properly mounted, secured, is also working properly, and it is the proper color amber. All right, so now that we've done the general condition in the front of our tractor, we're going to open up the hood. Once we open up the hood, we're looking for our 3 coolant, not just coolant levels, but 3 fluid levels. One of them being our coolant reservoir. On this one here, it's a sight glass. You want to make sure that the fluid is between a minimum and maximum range. And then we're going to go to our power steering fluid. Our power steering fluid is properly mounted, secured. That has a dipstick to it. you would pull the dipstick out, clean it, reinsert it, pull it back out, make sure it's at the proper operating level. If not, you'd open up the cat and add the proper amount of fluid. Then you're going to come to your engine oil dipstick, pull that out. You would clean it, reinsert it, pull it back out, check to make sure that's at the proper operating level. If you need to add fluid, you would open up the oil fill cap, add the proper amount of fluid. All 3 caps to all 3 fluids for my power steering, my oil, and my coolant reservoir. All 3 caps are properly mounted and secured. I'm going to look at my air hoses, make sure that I don't have any cracks, any audible leaks coming from any of my hoses. I don't see any fluid leaking from my engine. So we have our steer shaft, which is properly mounted, secured. It's not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. It's secured with 2 universal joints at either end, properly lubricated. Our gearbox is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. There's no missing hardware. Then we come to our pitman arm. This is our drag link. This right here is our control arm. They're all properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. They're also secured with castle nuts and cotter pins. Then we come to our brake hose and our brake chamber. They're properly mounted, secured. There's no audible air leaks. And then we're going to look on the inside here, look at our brake shoe and our brake drum. We want to make sure that they're properly mounted, secured. We're also looking to make sure that there's no contaminants on our brake shoe and brake drum, and that our brake shoe has at least 1/4 of an inch material. Coming back to our shock here, it's properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. So shock mount is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. Then behind that, we have our leaf spring and our leaf spring hangers, which are properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. Our leaf spring is not cracked or broken. It's not scissoring. And our leaf spring is properly secured to our front axle with 2 U-bolts, 4 nuts, and there's no missing hardware. All right, so after we make sure that our brake shoe has at least 1/4 of an inch material, we're going to check out our tire. We want to make sure that our tire sidewalls are properly mounted, secured, that there's no bubbles or cuts on the side of our tires, that our tire tread depth has at least 4/32 of tread. We would check that with a tire tread depth gauge. These tires have to be virgin tires. It's properly seated to the rim. Our rim is properly mounted, secured. There's no cracks or illegal wells on our rim. All of our lug nuts are properly mounted, secured. There's no missing stems on our wheel. Our tire stem and tire stem cap are both metal. They're properly mounted, secured. Our tire hub is properly mounted, secured. It's not leaking. There's no contaminants leaking from it, no oil. And that our tire pressure should be at least 100 PSI. You would check that with a tire pressure gauge. All right, so once again, we're on the outside. We just want to call out again that our traffic monitoring devices or our West Coast mirrors are properly mounted, secured. They're not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. Our steps are properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. This is also our battery box. You'd want to lift the battery box off. Make sure that your batteries are properly mounted, secured. They're not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. There's no corrosion on the terminals, that you don't have any exposed wires on your batteries or your wires, or there's no arcing or crossing of the wires on your batteries. So this is our DEF tank. Our DEF tank is properly mounted, secured. It's not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. The lid is on properly. It's on tight. I also want to make sure that the fuel line coming out of my DEF tank is not leaking. There's no signs of any visual or leaking from my DEF tank. And then my fuel tank is also properly mounted, secured. It's not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. The fuel tank straps are properly mounted, secured. It has rubber gaskets between the strap and the tank, which cause any type of erosion, metal-on-metal contact. Our fuel tank cap is properly mounted, secured. It's not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. Our fuel tank is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. Our fuel tank straps are properly mounted, secured, and there's gaskets between the tank and the straps to keep any metal-on-metal contact, which would cause corrosion. Our fuel tank cap is properly secured tightly, and our fuel line coming from the fuel tank is not leaking. There's no signs of any visual leaks coming from our fuel tank. All right, so after our fuel tank, we're going to go to our air lines, make sure they're properly mounted, secured, that we don't hear any audible air leaks. My blue line is my service line. It's properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. The glad hands are properly mounted, secured, and the rubber grommet is in place and not cracked or broken. Our red air line is our emergency line. It's not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. There's no audible air leaks coming from our emergency line. The glad hand is properly mounted, secured, and the rubber grommets are in place. Also, the rubber grommets are not cracked, bent, or broken. And then our green line is our electrical line, which is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged, and it's secured properly from the tractor to the trailer. All three lines, my service, my emergency, and my electrical line, are not sagging on the catwalk. Also, I want to make sure that I'm looking at the frame of my tractor, checking to make sure that there's no illegal welds or drill holes. And I'm also looking at the cross members of my tractor to make sure that there's none broken, cracked, or missing. Then we're going to scan to the top. Once again, it's important in the modernized test that you call out all the lights on the tractor. So that's our top clearance light on the left side of our trailer, which is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. It's the proper color amber. And then coming down, we're just going to look at the bulkhead, the front of our trailer here, make sure the general condition is good. There's no missing rivets. And same thing looking down the side of our trailer, that it's not, the general condition is it's in good condition, that there's no missing rivets. And then we also want to make sure that our DOT tape running down the side of the trailer is at least 50% going down the length of our trailer. Then that's going to bring us to the tires, our drive tires, which very similar to our steer tires, just a few differences. These tires are side by side, so we have bud spacing. We want to make sure that there's no debris in our bud spacing. These tires, instead of the front, which are 4/32 tread depth, these can be 2/32 tread depth. Also, you want to make sure that there's no contaminant on the brakes for these. These also need to have metal stems and metal caps. These tires are also have to be 100 PSI. I would check that with the tire pressure gauge. I would check my tread depth with a tire tread depth gauge. And these tires are allowed to be recaps. All right, so now we're going to our coupling. We want to make sure that our trailer skid plate is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. And then our fifth wheel is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. It's important to call out that there's no space between our skid plate and our fifth wheel. You also want to mention that your fifth wheel is properly greased. Our fifth wheel release handle is in the lock position. Our fifth wheel mounting plate is properly secured to the frame of the tractor. This fifth wheel is not an adjustable fifth wheel that's permanently mounted. The hardware securing the fifth wheel mounting plate is there. There's none missing. Properly mounted, secured to the frame of the tractor. There's enough clearance room between our fifth wheel and our landing gear to secure that when we turn, the frame of our tractor does not get caught up in our landing gear. I'm also going to go behind here and look under through the back of our fifth wheel to make sure that the shank is in the lock position around, that our locking jaw is in a lock position around the shank of the kingpin. Our landing gear is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. Our frame is looking like it's in good condition. Our handle, our lower and raising handle is secured in the cradle, and our shoes, you want to make sure that you mention that the shoes are raised to the highest position. You want to look under your trailer. You want to make sure that all your trailer cross members are properly mounted, secured. There's none missing. You also want to look at the floor of your trailer, make sure that it looks like it's in proper condition, and you're going to look to make sure that there's no holes in your floor. This trailer, the cross members, and the floor is in good condition. The one thing you got to make sure is that you call out all your lights. So my turn signal halfway down the side of my trailer here is in good conditions, properly mounted, secured, working properly, and is the proper color amber. Our tandem release handle is in the lock position. Our sliding tandem rails are properly mounted, secured. Our locking pins are in a lock position. I have 2 pins on this side, 2 pins on the other side, and they are both properly mounted and secured. Calling out all the lights, we have our ABS light, properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. It's the proper color amber. On the rear, the red lights, they're not clearance lights, they're marking lights. So this is our left rear marking light, properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. Then we're going to look up to the top. We're going to make sure that our red rear marking lights are properly mounted, secured. They're the proper color red. Up in the corner of the trailer, we have DOT shape in the shape of an upside down L, properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. And then we have DOT tape 100% across the back of our trailer door and 100% across the back of our ICC bumper. Our ICC bumper is properly mounted, secured, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. We have our turn signal and our brake lights, both properly mounted, secured. They're both the proper color red. And same thing on the right rear side of the trailer. Our turn signal and our brake light are properly mounted, secured. They're both the proper color red. And that's it. And then we would just go down the other side. Really, all we have to call out is just the marking lights and clearance lights on that side of the trailer. And that would be the completion of our modernized pre-chip. Thank you very much.